Okay, today we're going to look at NCH WavePad. And let's take a look at the top of the menu here. We've got File, Home, Edit, Effects, Tools, Suite, and Custom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to open up, and it's going to say New File. I want to click that. And then what I want to do is click Home, and I want to go to Options. And what I want to do is I want to look here, and I'm going to say Use Defaults. I've got the sample rate of 44,100, which it should be, but I want to click the mono box. I want to just do one channel of audio. And then for recording, I'm going to click that. I want to make sure in your case you're going to want to have the Focusrite Scarlett here. I'm going to use the Windows Mixer. You can look at that in the pull-down menu. And once you've done that, you should actually, when you're speaking, you should be able to see the recording bar move up and down, left to right. Once you've got all that working, you know you're where you're supposed to be. You can click OK. Then when I'm ready to read, I'm going to go down and I'm going to click the little red button at the bottom left-hand corner. That's going to start recording. The small brown fox jumped the white wood. Well, I didn't like any of that, so I'm stopping it. So I started off in a real bad way. I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to close the file. Don't save it, and I'm going to start over. Go back up, click New File, hit Record again. Wait a minute. Don't save. Okay. Let's try it again. New File, hit Record. The small brown fox jumped the white wooden gate. Do not attempt to adjust your set. We are in control of the horizontal. We are in control of the vertical. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. When I've stopped reading, I can hit the square stop button. And now we can go back. What I'm going to do is if I scroll to the right, you can actually see that I'm moving more to the right of what I've done. But what I want to do is I want to come back to about here. I'm going to scrub that to the left with my left key and cut it. Now let's listen to what we did. Okay, here I know I said 11, 12. I didn't like how I said it, so I'm going to scrub across it. And I'm going to come up to my pair of scissors at the top, and I'm going to cut that out. Now I'm going to leave my cursor right where it is. I want to do Edit. I'm going to come across the top of my menu where it says Silence. It gives me a bunch of options, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert silence at the cursor. Now this is set in milliseconds, so milliseconds are going to be 3 zeros and then whatever number you put in front. I've done 10, 1 0, and 3 0, which is going to give me 10 seconds, and I'm going to insert silence. If I scroll this all the way down, you can see where I've got my 10 seconds of silence. I'm going to move a little bit past there, and now I'm going to start recording after 8, 9, and 10. I'm going to come back and hit the record button. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm going to stop recording. I'm going to click my screen, and now I'm going to be back to where I was. So let's go back to here and let's listen to what we have. I'm going to stop there. I want to get rid of where I said stop recording. I'm going to close up all this space that I had before. So I'm going to go back to my scissors and cut that out. Let's go back and listen again. Okay, here I had what I repeated. I want to get rid of that. Left click it, scroll across it, come back and cut it out. Now let's come back, and I can even come back and trim some of this silence in here. And let's listen to that. Okay, I'm going to stop that. I'm going to come back and trim some of this silence. And then I can come back and trim some of the end of this because I don't need all that extra silence out there at the end. And then I can come back and I can trim some of these silences that were in here. And listen, pauses are really good because you can come back and take them out anytime that you want. So pausing, there's nothing wrong with pausing. So let's go all the way back to the beginning and listen. Okay, so that's the end of that. So let's assume that we like all of that, but we can also notice that my voice is really not as loud as it's going to need to be ultimately. So I want to come up here and I want to go to, I think it's effects. Let's see what we have. Okay, here we have the normalization tab. I'm going to click that. And I don't necessarily want to do, let's see what they've got, peak. Let's go back where it says simple peak, 3 dB of headroom. We're going to click that. And then we're going to click apply and watch what happens. It just made everything louder. If I click somewhere back into the recording area, it'll turn back black again. So let's listen to that now. Okay, so let's say that I like all of that. And so then we can come back and we can come back and go back into file, save file as, and this is where you're going to want to name it. And I've got all of my files go back into my window F location, into my documents. Let me go back here, save file as, and I want to name it. My first recording. And I'm going to hit save. And it's going to ask me preserve original format. And that's going to be okay. So now I could close that out. I can go back and find it. So, and you'll be able to do all that. So let's go back to a couple of things now. let's go back into my effects, and let's see where it says compress. And let's select one of their presets. Let's go back to a smooth compressor. And if this one works for you, let's apply that. Didn't appear to do a whole lot, so let's go back up here. Compress again. Let's see what heavy does. See how that is. Now that did a pretty good job of compressing it. Let's listen to it. Okay, let's say that I like that. Okay, but again, now my level's pretty low, so I'm going to go back up to normalize, and I'm going to normalize it again to -3 dB. Now I've raised my level up again, and that's a pretty good level. So after you compress it, you're doing the harder compression. Okay, so let's do that. Now the other effect that they had in here, let's go back, normalize, into the compression folder. Let's, we don't want to do that again. Cancel. Amplify, equalize, envelope. Let's look at in the preset box again, and let's look at the noise gate. And this is going to take out, you see all this noise in between where you were quiet? That's basically going to be either room noise or you breathing. Let's see what this does to this waveform. You see how it limited all of that noise in there? And I would go ahead and do that preset every time. Let's take a listen to that. So that cleaned up a good part of that pretty well. So that'll basically get you started on learning how to navigate this. Just go ahead and practice it. And then later on, I'll come back and we'll talk about how you can open up the equalizer, and you can actually change the flavor of your voice some. And but we won't do any of that today. We'll just take a look at this, and this will at least will have gotten you started to a degree, and we'll go from there. So I hope that helps you some with this.